Everyone talks about finding the devil in the details, but I found him in the bathroom instead, folded to perfection, mint green, and impossible to ignore. But this isn't just a tale of tears and public shame. No, nothing comes in halves. This is a feast served with love, plot twists, unlikely allies, and, of course, an Egyptian cotton towel. I'm Clara, an architect who designs both buildings and my life with meticulous precision. I love order, structure, and the peaceful silence that comes from knowing exactly where every single piece fits. I found comfort in my routine with Leo, my husband. Our relationship was built on what looked like stability, but beneath that polished facade lay a deeply rooted original wound, a memory of a complex triangle that tied me to Leo, but also, in a way I always tried to forget, to his identical twin brother, Leon. This story isn't about an earthquake. It's about a tiny tremor. It's about how the smallest, most insignificant detail, something as simple as a misplaced object, can crack open the foundation of your world and reveal a shattering truth. I had a color code actually, an almost ridiculous detail that governed our shared spaces, especially the master bathroom. White and soft blue, no exceptions. It was my guarantee of order, my way of managing the inherent chaos of human emotion. I had been away for the weekend, visiting a potential client of my office. When I got back, Leo was his usual self, calm, charming, effortlessly affectionate. He told me he'd spent the weekend watching games and sleeping because there wasn't much point in doing anything fun without me around. It all sounded so sweet that we ended up having an amazing dinner together, but on Monday, as I unpacked my suitcase and sorted the laundry, I found it, a small cotton hand towel. Not just any towel though. This one was mint green, a loud, screaming splash of color that shouldn't exist in our home, and of a brand I had never bought. It was a tangible break in my flawless system, a betrayal materialized in fabric. That moment, seeing that wrong color, it was the moment that brought doubt into my perfect life. It was where the beautiful lie ended and the ugly truth began to surface. I had to face the possibility that my husband had lied by mistake or had gotten that towel from a RQ friend, but my intuition was telling me that I was about to uncover truths that would open doors that could never be closed again. I started trying to remember what the previous week had been like with him, and then something hit me that made my stomach drop. Leo had spent the whole week at home because his office was being relocated. In other words, there was no way he could have casually borrowed a towel from a coworker, and I'd bet anything that none of his friends go around carrying Egyptian cotton towels just in case. That left me with only one completely insane possibility. He was having an affair. The investigation that followed wasn't just about uncovering a simple lie. It was about a deeper, more dangerous game involving corporate ambition and an old, bitter connection between the two men I know best. What I was about to uncover, and how that mint green towel would ultimately become the key to my vengeance and my salvation, is a story of twin rivalry, hidden love, and the sweet satisfaction of a revenge best served public. What I discovered is that Leo didn't win me. He stole me. The entire marriage was a carefully planned revenge against his brother, Leon, my first true love. Our entire life together, this seemingly solid union, was built not on affection, but on Leon's resentment. A marriage as a trophy, a symbol of dominance in a fraternal battle. Think about that for a second. Imagine waking up years later and realizing the whole structure of your life, the one you fought so hard to maintain, was just a calculated secondary effect of someone else's lifelong rivalry, that you were the tool, the elaborate instrument of his revenge on his own blood. It's a stunning realization, a loss of self that makes the cheating almost secondary. The affair with Daniela, that was a breaking of vows. But my marriage to Leo, that was a breaking of my soul from the very beginning. A lie that started long before the vows were even exchanged. The choice I made back then, or rather, the choice Leo forced me to make, created a wound that never truly healed, a festering wound in our family dynamic. This is the bitter backdrop. This is the real reason why a single, wrong-colored hand towel became more than just evidence of an affair. It became a signal, a coded message from the past. trying to save me from the very man who had stolen my future. And when I started to connect that towel to Leo's partner, to Daniela, a whole new chapter of betrayal opened up. It's an important part of the story, because what I learned about her was exactly what I needed to expose him. Tracing the towel's brand wasn't hard. A few discreet searches online led me to a high-end boutique brand known for its vibrant, frankly garish color palettes. A brand Leo would never in a million years have bought for me. And then the logical leap, Leo's frequent travel, his recent preoccupation, and the proximity of his work life. The answer, when it emerged, wasn't surprising, but it was deeply, bitterly ironic. Think about the sheer audacity. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was professional. They were building an empire together, a legacy he supposedly shared with me. But the irony ran even deeper, right into the core of who Daniela was. She was everything I am not. Where I embody structure, Daniela thrives in chaos. She is notoriously disorganized. Her office is legendary for its clutter, and she's fiercely, almost dangerously impulsive. She lives in a rush of unpredictable emotion, making decisions on a whim, thriving on that very instability that I spend my life trying to minimize. It made sickening sense. Leo, the traitor, the man who married me for vengeance and stability, was secretly drawn to the absolute opposite of his ordered life. He sought out Daniela's wild imprudence to escape the perfect, passionless prison he had constructed with me. He wanted the structure, the money, the appearance of success I provided, but he craved the fire that someone like Daniela represented. It was a classic, devastating duality. This confirmed to me that the affair wasn't an accident. It was a symptom of his deep-seated self-loathing and his inability to commit to genuine connection. He didn't respect my boundaries. And Daniela, with her mint green towel and her reckless nature, was the perfect weapon against the harmony I cherished. My initial anger transformed into a cold, strategic clarity. I had the who and the why. Daniela, the loud, messy, opposite of my ordered life, made the presence of that green towel in my hamper an almost symbolic statement. It wasn't just a mistake, it was her signature, her little vibrant stain on my immaculate white canvas. But as I continued to piece together the evidence of their relationship, a peculiar detail emerged about the towel itself. Something about the way it was left, the very specific brand, started to feel less like a mistake by a sloppy lover and more like a message, an intentional placement. My focus shifted from Daniela's recklessness to a new, unsettling question. Could someone else have been involved in planting the clue? Could the ultimate act of betrayal actually hold the key to an unexpected salvation? The truth about the towel's true origin would lead me back to the one person I thought was completely out of my life. The one person with a reason to warn me, the good twin, Leon. The more I thought about Daniela, the impulsive partner, the less sense the towel made. She was disorganized, yes, but she was also arrogant. Why would she, a woman who thrived on chaos, risk leaving such blatant proof in my house? It felt too convenient, too perfectly placed to break my code. It felt intentional. This thought twisted my silent investigation in a direction I never anticipated. I began tracing the brand's availability, looking for a location closer to where Leon, Leo's brother, lived and worked. Leon, the man I should have married, the man whose resentment was the foundation of my life with Leo. I was desperate for a new perspective, something to explain the strange finality of that green cloth. And then the first major shockwave hit. My quiet search revealed that the specific boutique that sold that mint green towel was located right next to the small, specialized firm where Leon had his office. The connection was too strong, too precise to be coincidence. I realized with a dizzying rush that the towel wasn't Daniela's clumsy mistake. It was a calculated move. It had been planted, but by whom? Only one person knew my obsession with the bathroom color code intimately enough to use it as a weapon. Only one person had the motive of revenge against Leo and the desire for my salvation. It was Leon, the good twin. The truth was stunning. He must have seen Daniela with the towel, or knew the brand she used, and recognized the opportunity. A silent, untraceable way to communicate the betrayal to the one person who would understand the code. It was a brilliant coded message, passed through the very fabric of my orderly life, designed to bypass Leo's defenses and land directly in my hands. Leon wasn't just standing by. He had been quietly waiting, observing, and when the opportunity arose, he struck, not with a shout or a confrontation, but with a piece of cotton. He used Daniela's imprudence and my structure to create the perfect trap for his brother. It was a subtle act of revenge for the loss of both me and the years of silent rivalry. The green towel wasn't just proof of infidelity anymore. It was a weapon handed to me by an unseen ally. I knew I couldn't simply confront Leo about Daniela. I had to go deeper, straight to the ugly heart of his nature. I waited until he was relaxed, comfortable, back in the safety of the perfect home I'd created for him. I walked into the living room, quiet and steady. I didn't shout. I just held up the towel, that small, mint green symbol of betrayal. His face, usually so controlled, went completely blank. The shock was absolute, the certainty of being caught palpable. I didn't let him speak. I laid out the facts. The frequent trips, his preoccupation, Daniela's impulsiveness, and her signature brand of textile. He tried the usual defenses, the stammered denials, the hollow excuses. But the evidence was tangible, undeniable. I watched him, this man who had built his life on lies, as his world crumbled over a piece of cotton. Finally, he sagged, defeated. I remember his defeated whisper. It's true, it was Daniela. But that admission, the admission of the affair, wasn't the final destination. It was just the entrance to the real darkness. I looked him right in the eye, my voice as cold and precise as the architectural blueprints I design. I said, "You know the funny thing, Leo? This towel wasn't left here by Daniela. This was a message. This came from Leon." The effect was instantaneous, devastating. His look of shame instantly morphed into pure, raging hatred. Not for me, but for his brother. That confirmed everything. The connection to Leon, the real power dynamic. It completely eclipsed the affair. He started shouting then, the years of suppressed jealousy and rivalry finally exploding into the quiet air of our perfect living room. He admitted it all, that he saw Leon in me, and he couldn't stand it. He said, "I took you because he loved you. I wanted to see the look on his face. I wanted to win. Our marriage, Clara, it was always about revenge against him." It was a final, brutal truth. My life, my choice, my years of structure were nothing but collateral damage in a fraternal war. He didn't love me. He owned me as a trophy to hurt his brother. I had been living a lie built on another man's resentment. When he finished, I didn't feel rage or sadness. I felt surgically removed from the situation. The air in that beautiful house, the house I had designed, suddenly felt toxic. The image of Daniela's chaos in my ordered home, facilitated by my husband's deep-seated malice, was unbearable. I couldn't stay in the place where I had been so thoroughly humiliated, where two people had mocked the very notion of our union. I didn't pack much, just a suitcase with the essentials. I left the house immediately. I didn't want to hear another word of his excuses, his manipulation. I needed space to breathe, to let the magnitude of this decades-long betrayal settle. I checked into a discreet hotel downtown. It was sterile, anonymous, and blessedly free of my color codes and his lies. A temporary refuge, sitting there, overlooking the city lights. The one overwhelming determination was crystal clear. This marriage was over. Divorce wasn't an option. It was a necessity, a requirement for my own salvation. The chapter of Clara and Leo was violently shut. But the story wasn't just about ending one marriage. It was about starting a new life. And suddenly, two people were clearly on my side. The man whose warning started everything, Leon, and, unexpectedly, the one person who knew Leo's darkness better than anyone else. I knew I needed guidance, I needed an ally, and I was about to get a surprise visit that would change the nature of my revenge forever. My mother-in-law was about to walk through that hotel door, and she knew a terrible truth I had yet to understand. The isolation of the hotel room was my temporary refuge, but it was also a heavy, silent space. I was determined to start the divorce proceedings, but the sheer effort of dismantling years of lies felt exhausting. I needed more than just an escape. I needed a strategy for revenge. Leo had used me as a weapon against his brother. I realized my retaliation had to be just as calculated, just as public. And then came the knock on the door. It wasn't Leon, the silent ally. It was Helena, my mother-in-law, Leo's mother. The surprise was absolute. She walked in, regal and composed, but with a deep, weary sadness in her eyes. There were no pleasantries. She bypassed the small talk, bypassing the usual disorganization of such emotional moments. Her determination was instantly palpable. She said, in a low voice, "I know everything, Clara. Leo called me," spitting venom about the towel and Leon. "You see, Helena was not like Leo. She was a woman of deep dignity, and she could not tolerate the casual malice of her son. She couldn't stand the way he had weaponized their family rivalry. She told me she had witnessed the whole ugly battle for years, the constant need for Leo to diminish his twin, to steal his victories. Then she spoke the words that pierced through my cynical armor. Leo didn't steal you because he loved you more. He stole you because Leon loved you completely. And you, Clara, you always belonged with Leon. He was your true connection. He was your true love. Hearing that, the brutal, unvarnished truth from his own mother, gave me a profound, quiet strength. It validated the faint, persistent feeling I had carried all these years, that my initial choice had been subverted, that my true path had been hijacked for a petty, selfish revenge. That moment in the hotel room, facing this unexpected ally, marked a complete turning point. We formed a secret alliance. Helena was not just giving me emotional support, she was offering strategic counsel. We agreed immediately that divorce wasn't enough. Leo had built his life on appearances and family reputation. That's where he had to be destroyed. Our plan was ruthless and precise. The exposure had to be public and final. We weren't just seeking to end the marriage. We were seeking to dismantle his reputation, his credibility, and his entire social standing. The twin goal was crucial, not only to destroy Leo's standing, but to actively rehabilitate Leon, clearing his name and finally, irrevocably, reuniting him with me. We needed a stage, a setting with the maximum impact, a place where every key player, family, friends, and business partners like Daniela would be present to witness his downfall. Helena smiled, a sharp, purposeful look in her eyes. There's only one perfect opportunity, my dear. The anniversary party. A family celebration that will become Leo's grand, final humiliation. The time for silence was over. The time for the public exposure of the lies had arrived. The secret alliance with Helena gave my revenge the structure it desperately needed. It shifted my energy from wounded flight to strategic determination. We both agreed. The divorce, the final exposure of Leo's lies, had to happen on the biggest stage possible. It had to be a public dismantling, a total collapse of the appearance he cherished. The anniversary party of his parents was the perfect setting. Think about it. It guaranteed the full audience, the entire extended family, who had witnessed the quiet rivalry of the twins for decades, and crucially, all the business partners, including Daniela. Leo's world, built on control, reputation, and the facade of the perfect marriage, would be gathered in one room, ready to watch the real show. The days leading up to the event were a blur of cold, calculating preparation. Helena and I communicated in coded calls and hurried secret meetings. We finalized the details, anticipating every possible reaction. Leo, convinced I was still hiding in silent, bruised vulnerability, never suspected a thing. He thought he had weathered the storm. He was smiling, confident, oblivious that his own mother and I were holding the detonator. I walked into that ballroom on the night of the party, not as the dutiful, heartbroken wife, but as an architect arriving to demolish a flawed structure. I was wearing my most elegant, yet utterly composed dress. My silence was my weapon. Leo saw me and his face registered a confused mixture of relief and irritation. He had thought I wouldn't show. Daniela, his partner, was also there, trying to look appropriately sober and professional, unaware she was about to be part of the most spectacular downfall of her career. The tension in the room was electric, though only Helena, Leon, who watched me from across the room with a deep, knowing look, and I understood why. Then, the moment arrived. The speeches began, the usual platitudes and toasts. And then, Helena, the matriarch, the elegant pillar of the family, tapped her champagne glass. The room fell quiet. She smiled, a beautiful, devastating smile, and asked for the floor. "I would like to offer a very special toast," she announced, her voice clear, carrying over the hum of the crowd. She started by praising her husband and the decades of union. Standard protocol. Leo, oblivious, beamed at his mother. This was his world, his validation. But then, her tone shifted, just slightly, a barely perceptible tremor of steel entering her voice. She raised her glass higher, looking directly at Leo. "But today is also about facing the truth of our sons, and I want to raise this glass not just to my husband, but to my son Leo, and to the decisions he has made in his life." That shift, that single public deviation from the script, was the first crack. Leo's smile froze. The entire room, trained for propriety, leaned in, suddenly captivated. Helena, the master strategist, had just opened fire. She held the room in her hand, having activated the ultimate hook. Everyone now expected a reprimand for a business mistake, a minor error. They had no idea the deep familial betrayal she was about to unearth, the resentment she was, about to expose. And they certainly didn't know the final piece of proof I was holding, ready to deliver my own calculated blow. I was next. The room was silent, every eye fixed on Helena. Leo was starting to sweat, his initial confusion melting into pure panic. His mother, his greatest protector, was about to launch the attack. She didn't waste time. She began by addressing the years of unspoken rivalry between her sons, the deep jealousy that had poisoned their family. "My son Leo," she stated, her voice resonating with deep disappointment, "has always measured his worth not by his own success, but by his ability to steal happiness from his twin, Leon." She didn't just mention the affair, she framed it within the context of his lifelong malice. "His marriage to Clara," she continued, looking straight at me with an expression of profound regret, "was never an act of love. It was an act of revenge, a trophy to prove his dominance over the brother who always possessed the greater dignity and connection." The murmurs in the room turned into shocked gasps. The corporate partners exchanged frantic glances. Daniela's face was pale, realizing she was merely a footnote in a much older, darker saga. Leo lunged forward, his voice a choked, desperate plea. "Mom, stop! This is insane!" But Helena held the floor with an iron will. She looked at her son and delivered the ultimate cut. His recent betrayal with his business partner is not a singular error. It is the ultimate symptom of his profound inability to commit to anything real. He has disrespected this family, his brother, and the woman who sacrificed her true feeling for an illusion of structure. Then, she turned to me. It was my cue. I stepped forward, accepting the microphone from her hand. The transition felt electric, the power instantly shifting. The room was absolutely unnervingly quiet, waiting for the humiliated wife to deliver her broken farewell. But I wasn't heartbroken. I was fury disguised as composure. I looked directly at Leo, who was now being held back by his father. I spoke, my voice calm, controlled, utterly cold. "For years, Leo, you believed you held all the lies. You thought my routine made me predictable, but every structure has a weakness, and yours was exposed not by a person, but by a mistake you thought was meaningless." I reached into my small, elegant evening bag. The silence was suffocating. Slowly, deliberately, I pulled out the object that had started everything. I held it up, high above the crowd, letting the single jarring color capture the light. "You remember this, Leo?" I asked, holding up the mint green towel. "You thought this was Daniela's carelessness, the sloppy signature of your brief imprudence." I paused, letting the proof sink in. Everyone saw it, the cheap, vivid fabric contrasting violently with the formal elegance of the setting. It was the visual signature of their crime. "But this towel," I proclaimed, my voice rising with absolute certainty, "is not a relic of betrayal. It is a message, a coded signal. It was planted by the one person who saw the truth of your malice and cared enough to send me a warning I would understand." I locked eyes with Leon, who was still standing quietly in the back. A subtle nod passed between us. "This is the coded message of salvation from Leon," I finished, allowing the depth of that secret alliance to settle upon the crowd. Leo stood exposed, his affairs and the fundamental lie of his marriage ripped away in front of his entire world. He was shattered, disarmed by the two people who knew his darkness best. His destruction was complete. There was only one action left to take, one definitive statement that would seal my choice and finalize Leon's rehabilitation. I had to walk away from Leo and walk toward my true love. The entire room was holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable final scene, and I knew exactly where I needed to go. The air was heavy with the weight of the truth. Leo, humiliated and speechless, was a wreck. His perfect world had imploded, and the entire audience of family and business partners was witnessing the spectacular destruction of his carefully crafted appearance. But the story was not complete until the final necessary choice was made visible. I had the microphone still, the mint green towel clutched in my other hand, the ultimate symbol of Leon's quiet salvation of me. I looked at Leo one last time, my eyes conveying the finality of my judgment. I said simply, My life was built on your lie. Today, I reclaim my true love. Then, I turned my back on the ruin of my marriage. I walked past the shocked faces of the crowd, past the pale face of Daniela, straight toward the back of the room where Leon stood, an island of stillness in the chaos. He didn't move. He didn't need to. Our eyes locked, a powerful, unspoken connection that transcended the years of separation and resentment. As I reached him, I dropped the microphone and the infamous towel to the floor. The sound of the microphone thudding was the final punctuation mark to Leo's downfall. I placed my hands on Leon's face, felt the genuine feeling and quiet strength I had missed for so long, and I kissed him. It was more than just a kiss. It was a reconciliation of our stolen history, a public declaration that the revenge of the past was finally over. The crowd erupted into stunned silence, then a wave of astonished murmuring. Leo let out a sound of pure, frustrated rage, a wounded animal cry that was utterly ignored. Before the moment could fully settle, Helena stepped forward once more, taking command of the room again. Her voice was strong, sharp, addressing the business partners directly. She didn't talk about love or betrayal. She talked about business. As Leo's partner, Daniela, and the other investors are now aware of his profound lack of dignity and judgment, Helena announced, we must address the company's future. For the last 6 months, Leon has been discreetly preparing to step in. He tendered his resignation from his previous firm 2 weeks ago, and effective immediately, he will assume control of Leo's executive duties, ensuring the company's stability and ethical operation. The revelation was a second, massive blow. It was the ultimate humiliation. Leo hadn't just lost his wife. He had lost his career, his standing, and the entire future he had built, all meticulously orchestrated by his own mother and the brother he despised. I looked at Leon again. His eyes were filled with a triumphant yet gentle love. Our new beginning wasn't just a romance. It was a powerful alliance forged in shared truth and the strategic dismantling of a manipulator. Leo was left standing alone, without love, without wife, and staring down the barrel of a ruined career, his life reduced to the bitter loss he had so eagerly inflicted on others. It was the perfect final reward for the pain he caused, and the ultimate victory for our long-denied connection. The story of the mint green towel was finished. The revenge was complete. You know, the real devastation wasn't the cheating. It was realizing my entire structure, my meticulously built life, was simply a stage for another man's lifelong revenge. It was the crushing loss of knowing I was a trophy, not a partner. But the beauty of this story, the real victory, is in the realization that even when your foundation is built on a lie, you still hold the power to demolish it and build something authentic in its place. Leo lost everything: his union, his reputation, his career, not because of the towel itself, but because he underestimated the quiet determination of the women around him. He thought my obsession with order was a weakness. He never understood it was my weapon, and he certainly never counted on his own mother, Helena, choosing dignity over blind maternal love. Life with Leon now is different. It's built on shared respect and the quiet certainty of two people who were meant to be together, finally finding their way back after a forced, brutal detour. There is a profound peace in knowing that the chaos is over, and that my choice for truth ultimately delivered us both from his darkness. So I ask you, thinking about your own life, what is your mint green towel? That one tiny glaring proof that your world is not what it seems. If you found a clue that exposed a major lie in your life, would you have the courage to expose it publicly, or would look away in silence? Tell me your thoughts below. Never forget this: the greatest betrayal is the one you commit against yourself by ignoring the undeniable signs. Sometimes the simplest, smallest object can hold the weight of the biggest truth. Have the courage to pick it up. The moral of the story is simple. You can design the perfect life, but only truth can provide the perfect foundation. Go build something real.
Your favorite egg host here. I wasn't expecting that level of architectural precision in revenge, were you? Because I certainly wasn't. Here I am, thinking this is going to be a simple, caught my husband cheating with a towel situation. And instead, I get a full-blown Shakespearean twin tragedy with a side of corporate takeover and maternal justice. Let me just say, that mint green towel, that's not evidence, that's poetry. That's a whole encrypted love letter written in Egyptian cotton. You see, what fascinates me about this story isn't just the affairs are, sadly, as common as cracked shells in my world. No, what gets me is the layers. Clara built her entire existence on order, on color codes, on the belief that if you control the details, you control the chaos. And Leo built his entire marriage on spite. Think about that. He didn't marry Clara because he loved her. He married her because his brother did. That's not love, that's a trophy case with a heartbeat. And here's the thing that really cracks. Clara spent years trying to create stability in a relationship that was designed to be unstable from the very first vow. She was trying to build a foundation on quicksand, and she didn't even know it. The affair with Daniela, that was just Leo being consistent. He was always going to betray her, because the marriage itself was the betrayal. But then we get to Leon. Our hero isn't riding a white horse while an opera plays in the background. He's buying mint-colored towels with $100 instead. Our good twin, the one who loved her genuinely, who watched his brother steal his future, and who waited, quietly, patiently, until the perfect moment to send a message. Only Clara would understand that Tao wasn't a mistake. It was a rescue mission. It was Leon saying, "I see you. I remember our code. And I'm still here." That's the kind of love that doesn't scream at whispers and minks green. So if you're sitting there right now, holding your own metaphorical mint green towel, whatever it is, whoever it involves, ask yourself, are you going to fold it back up and pretend you didn't see it? Or are you going to let it lead you to the truth, even if the truth shatters everything? Clara's story reminds us that sometimes the smallest crack is the universe's way of saying, this foundation, and rebuilding. That takes the kind of courage most people never find. If you enjoyed watching Leo's world crumble as much as I did, hit that like button and subscribe to Eggsposed Tales because around here, we don't just tell stories, we crack them wide open and see what truth spills out. I'm Greg, and I'm already set for our next story, preferably one with more betrayal, more irony, and another perfectly placed clue that changes everything. See you in our next Exposed.